Welcome to Trinidad and Tobago, our vibrant twin island nation, now emerging as a global logistical hub. We're unlocking new pathways, connecting us to the world, signaling that we are open for business.
Okay, what's good everyone? It's Nigel here, Trinidad Empowerment Network. So as of today, the 7th of November, I've seen no real substantive updates coming from Venezuela. No real substantive update coming from Venezuela and the escalating war over there. So with that said, let's dive into today's topic. Everyone's asking how we fix Trinidad and Tobago. Everyone is asking, how do we fix Trinidad and Tobago? How do we create jobs? How do we stop the killings and build a country that works for its people? That is a real question, because what we're doing right now, clearly Trinidad Empowerment Network isn't working. Like and subscribe to Trinidad Empowerment Network. Let's unpack all of this, because there was a huge revitalization conference with the UNC just yesterday, where they talked about revitalizing Trinidad and Tobago and their big plans. Everyone's talking about it. It looks great. It looks great in pictures, but let's talk about the reality. Let's start with the truth. Essentially, Trinidad doesn't need another big revitalization blueprint. All this fancy gadgets and all this big screen nonsense. We don't need another big revitalization blueprint. It needs a real practical solution that starts now. It needs real practical solutions that starts now. Things that create jobs, things that cut crime, things that feed the nation and give people a reason to hope again. That is what we need right now in Trinidad and Tobago. We need these things to be done now. So if you ask me what would I do, I'm going to tell you, like and subscribe to Trinidad Empowerment Network. Like and subscribe. Appreciated. Much appreciated. So we are still importing basic products in Trinidad and Tobago, from ketchup to soap to toilet paper. When we could be making it right here in Trinidad and Tobago, we still import it when we could be making it right here in Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad could easily become the manufacturing capital of the Caribbean, of CARICOM. Easily. Instead of talking about leaving CARICOM and finding alternatives, let's start dealing with our neighbors, our direct neighbors, making friends and creating business ideas. Create special industrial zones with CARICOM, with zero tax for 5 years, for example. Zero tax for 5 years. Encourage people to come and work and create businesses. Invite local entrepreneurs and diasporas, investors, to build small factories, packagings, light electronics, clothing manufacturing, furnitures. All of that could be manufactured right here in Trinidad and Tobago, and I'm sure there's a massive diaspora waiting to invest in Trinidad and Tobago. Costa Rica did it. The Dominican Republic did it. It's not rocket science, it's political will. You have a diaspora that's worth millions, that's waiting to invest in Trinidad and Tobago if given the right opportunity when it comes to transparency, openness, and everything else. So you build everything here in Trinidad and Tobago. You create jobs here in Trinidad and Tobago. You stop the brain drain. You stop people from wanting to leave the country by creating things in the country, leaving it in Trinidad and Tobago, creating businesses in Trinidad and Tobago. That's how you transform an economy. 80% of our food, I remind you, every time I do a video, 80% of our food comes from abroad, mainly America. Most of it comes from America. That's a national disgrace. Their food full of chemicals and hormones and preservatives, all coming from America. And when prices rise, poor families go hungry, let alone the diseases we get from the food we're importing from America. Heart disease, diabetes, etc., etc. We should lease unused land, state land, to young farmers. Lease it to young farmers. For agri-processing plant, for cassava, for breadfruit, for coconut oil, for vegetables. Lease the land to young farmers at a minimal amount. Subsidize. All of these things could be done in Trinidad. Jamaica did it with their Eat When We Grow plan, with their Eat When We Grow campaign, should I say, and it worked. We can do exactly the same in Trinidad. You're asking me for ideas here. What would I do? I'm giving you ideas here. Food security is national security. Food security is national security. We import 80% of our food from America. I would keep saying this. I will keep saying this until the cow come home. I will keep saying this. 80% full of hormones and pesticide and preservatives and all the stuff that Europe don't even import food from America for those reasons. But yet we're happy to take it in Trinidad and Tobago and poison our citizens. So crime in Trinidad starts where opportunity ends. Crime in Trinidad starts where opportunity ends. That's the next topic. So give young people a reason to live for something, not to die for nothing, essentially. Give them a reason to live for something, not to die for nothing. Give them opportunities. Now, too many young people in Trinidad sat on their backside waiting for work. Create a national skills corps, constructions, solar tech, coding, farming, I've already mentioned. Pay them whilst they train, apprenticeships. Then give them micro grants to start small businesses. Whether it be a barbershop, whether it be welding, food stalls, whether it be digital service, coding, manufacturing, farming. Barbados did it with a tiny population. Brazil did it. They turned jobless youth into entrepreneurs. It can be done. It's been done. That's how you cut crime. You replace hopelessness with purpose. You give people, you give the youngsters, you give human beings, you give people in general something to strive for. We built an entire economy on oil in Trinidad and Tobago. We built an entire economy on oil. Now let's build one on sunlight. Partner with China or the UK or any European countries interested in doing so to assemble solar panels locally in Trinidad and Tobago. Transform old Petrotrin sites, for example, into renewable industrial parks. Because that's where the world is going. The world is going towards renewable energy. Every school, every hospital, every police station should have solar power built right here in Trinidad and Tobago. That's how you create jobs. Partner with these countries interested in doing it. Barbados is at the forefront of solar energy and renewable energy. Partner with these countries. Work together. Create jobs right home, right here. Barbados became the solar capital of the Caribbean, essentially. Now they export it. Why not us? A tiny island like Barbados is well ahead of Trinidad and Tobago when it comes to solar energy, the future of the world. Everyone is moving towards solar energy. It's only the old dinosaurs, the likes of Donald Trump, who are against it. But the world, China, Saudi Arabia, all the big oil countries are moving towards solar energy. So, you drive through any town in Trinidad and you will see empty schools. You probably see empty post office or abandoned government buildings, right? If you turn them into youth innovation hubs, for example, you give them something to do with Wi-Fi, with computers, with music studios, with training labs. This is the opportunities that youngsters need. Instead of finishing school and hanging about on the streets and getting up to no good, idle hands is the devil's tools. My mother always said, we give them opportunities. In Kenya, in Africa, they did this and built an entire digital economy from scratch. Go look it up. We have talent here in Trinidad and Tobago, but we lack the vision. It's the vision that we lack. Now, let's talk about one thing that nobody wants to really admit here. Because I still feel like Trinidad has this, posture, like the people in charge or in charge of crime in Trinidad. You cannot out-police crime. For decades, Trinidad has tried the same old failed formula. Tougher laws, rougher talk, more raids, SOE, blah, blah, blah. It never works. From Gary Griffiths to Roger Alexander, and even the Prime Minister, all preaching the same kill them all nonsense coming from the Prime Minister. What are we talking about here? I want you to ask yourself, Trinidad Empowerment Network, I want you to ask yourself this question. If that worked, why are we still living in fear? Why is the crime rate still so high? Yes, an SOE may drop it for a week or two, a month or two, but we cannot run an SOE forever. You cannot fix a crisis by doubling down on failure. The system we've ran over and over again, I don't care what commissioner in charge, you cannot make an argument that what they did actually worked or was a long-term plan. So we must take a different approach. We have to take a different approach. Yes, we have to tighten the borders. We have to, especially to stop the weapons from coming in from mainly America, because that's where the weapons are made. Of course, we need to stop the drugs from coming in, and that's where the police and Coast Guard should focus their energy. That is where we need the police and Coast Guard to focus their energy. But when it comes to the root causes of crime, we need healing, not just handcuffs. We need healing. We have to do better. We have to deal with the root causes of crime. And the police are ill-equipped and not equipped to deal with the root causes of crime. That's not what the police are for. Most violent offenders come from broken homes, addiction, or untreated trauma, mental health. We need to treat mental health and drug abuse as health issues, not criminal ones. That's dealing with the root cause. You cannot arrest your way out of crime in Trinidad and Tobago. You cannot. It does not work. So all this tough on crime, and we're going to lock them up, or we're going to kill them violently, or we're going to put them in prisons for life. When they go to prisons for life, who's paying for it? It's your money. It's taxpayers' money. When they are released after 10 years, are they rehabilitated? Or they're released back into the community to commit more crime? Listen, Scotland did this. Scotland did this in Europe. They created a violence reduction unit. For those of you who are avid viewers of 10, you've heard me talk about this before. A violence reduction unit in Scotland. They didn't just arrest people, they helped them. The result, knife crime dropped by 40%. Now, there is no gun pandemic in Scotland or Europe as there is in America or even in the Caribbean. Knife crime is the issue, and Scotland found a way, not through arresting people, but dealing with the root cause. So you see, violence isn't strength, wisdom is. And no commissioner in Trinidad's history, in fact, has ever fixed crime with bravado and bullets and this big tough guy image, this Johnny Bravo, look at me, I'm gonna cut crime by being tough, and that's what we need to do. That's the Gary Griffith, that's a Neanderthal sort of mentality, stuck in the dark ages. It's just political theater. And the public keeps falling for it. Oh yeah, when Gary was in, he was tough on crime, and he's gonna show them those criminal what for. What has it solved? What has it fixed? What has it fixed? It doesn't fix the issues long term. So let's Trinidad, let's get creative. Let's get creative with funding. Instead of begging foreign investors, let's empower our own. Let's empower our own. We could launch a Trini Rebuild Bond. Let's call it a Trini Rebuild Bond for citizens at home and citizens abroad to invest, for example, in renewable energy, to invest in agriculture, to invest in youth program. The amount of people we have living abroad in the diaspora, as we're known as, that willing to invest in Trinidad, because a lot of them want to come back after they retire, willing to invest in Trinidad. We're missing the opportunity there. Ethiopia's done it successfully. We have thousands of patriotic Trinidadian living overseas who would gladly invest if they saw transparency and progress. They would gladly invest if they saw transparency and progress. They're willing to. Trinidad is still their home. I'm sure most of them live with it in their head. But they don't see transparency, don't see the opportunity to. This is how you grow the economy. That's how you fund development, by making citizens shareholders in their own country, by making the diaspora citizens of Trinidad shareholders in their own country. Transparency, openness. You need to see where your money is going, and you make a return by investing in the country that you love. We're a tiny island. It's doable. It's doable. We need to clean up corruption. You know that in Trinidad and Tobago. We need to clean up corruption. And that brings me to the biggest barrier of all. When you talk about corruption in Trinidad and Tobago, that appears to me to be the biggest barrier. You can't attract serious investors to a system they cannot trust. So all this talk about investment and investors coming into Trinidad and Tobago, no one is investing in Trinidad. No one's going to invest in Trinidad and Tobago if they don't believe that their money is going to come back to them in some sort of way. Who are these investors that we're talking about? We must digitize every government tender, every contract, every cent spent. Transparency is needed. It should be public and transparent. Use blockchain verification to prevent fraud. If Estonia can do it, so can we in Trinidad and Tobago. Clean government, let me say this, right? Clean government equals real investment. Investors want to see, they don't want, for most of them, if it's tied up in corruption, no one's going to invest. That's it should be the foundation of everything else. Yes, of course, there are corrupt investors who could see a way to come in, but they're only coming in to take our stuff and leave, the corrupt ones. They're not coming in for our benefit. So in closing, I want to say this. Trinidad doesn't need more tough talk. It needs smart talk. It needs smart talk and even smarter action. We need to give people food. We need to give people work. And we need to give people dignity. And you watch crime de-escalate overnight. So all this tough guy talk coming from whatever commissioner we put in charge, every other commissioner that comes in talks tough, and the result remains the same. It may drop here or there, but essentially it remains the same. We need to show investors in Trinidad and Tobago transparency, and the money will flow. Stop worshipping politicians who think force is the answer. If force worked, Trinidad would be a paradise by now. If force worked, Trinidad would be a paradise by now. It clearly isn't. Hence, I'm here making these videos, frustrated by what's going on. And you yourself watching these videos you're frustrated by what's going on. We need purpose, we need opportunity, and we need leadership with vision. That's how we rebuild this country from the ground up. And that's it. I've taken enough of your time. If you stay to the end, I appreciate you. Please like and subscribe to Trinidad Empowerment Network. Let's build this country again. We can do it. We can do it. Like, subscribe to Trinidad Empowerment Network. I hope you resonated with what I had to say today. I hope it made sense. And I'll see you guys on my next video. For now, much love. God bless. Take care. Look after each other. Peace.